A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
In South Australia, an Equal Opportunity Religious Bodies Amendment Bill has been tabled in the South Australian government and it is currently being debated. If this bill passes, it will not allow Christian organisations, schools or churches to discriminate against the LGBTI community in regards to hiring and firing of staff. One Nation member for South Australia, Sarah Game, has written a petition hoping that the petition will help to defeat this bill. And one of her staff, Robyn Grace, joins me now. Robyn, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew.
Robyn,
thanks for the opportunity of being able to get the word out of what we're facing here in South Australia.
That's okay. So tell us, obviously this bill is going to affect Christians and Christian churches and schools. Tell us what that might look like.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, for Christian schools, they won't be able to hire or fire anybody that works for them under this law. So regarding you will be discriminating against the LGBTQI plus people, which means as a Christian school, you know, there's over 38% of parents that send their children to non-government schools in South Australia, and we're the highest in Australia. And why is that? Well, I'll tell you why it is, because they want the values of the Christian schools. And so who is the government to come in here and say, oh, we're taking over and removing the values of what these Christian schools and organisations stand for? It's not just Christian schools that are going to be impacted here. This is so far-reaching. So it says organisations as well. Well, what does organisations mean? We're talking about Christian churches. So the only person who is exempt from this bill is the minister. So if you've got a church where you have admin staff, you have Sunday school teachers, you have people in leadership, and people that might just be doing some gardening or something in the church, they are not exempt either. And you might think, well, this isn't such a bad thing. Well, I tell you, if you're a Bible-believing Christian church or organisation and you stand on the Word of God, this is wrong, and we need to stand up now. And if we don't stand up now, when will we stand up? So, you know, this is going to affect Christian bookshops, Christian camps, all Christian organisations. It's even going to affect you, Andrew, in Vision Radio.
Yeah, so is it only in relation to the hiring and firing of staff, or does the legislation also cover other areas as well?
Okay, yes, it does. It goes a bit further. So, for instance, you have a church hall that you might want to hire out. You cannot discriminate against people of who will be able to hire that out as well. So, yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. It's very far-reaching. And also, if you go back to looking at the schools, it's not just going to be the hiring and firing of school teachers and other staff. It is also about changing the whole curriculum and to, you know, bring that through. As you can see, you know, a lot of people have heard about what's going in libraries at the moment and how they're trying to sexualise children at a young age. This is what's going to happen through the whole curriculum in the Christian schools as well. And another thing also, this isn't just targeting Christian schools, this is targeting all religious schools. So, you know, Muslims, Falun Gong, other people as well, and they're against, you know, this as well. They're signing the petition. So we need all hands on decks, whether you're, you know, a Christian or send your children to Christian schools, faith-based schools, Catholic schools. You will need to sign this petition to help us fight it.
Yeah, so it really is a question, do we want the government telling us what to do all the time in our personal lives, in our working lives, in our communities of faith? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Do we want the government to tell us what to do, what to say and what to think?
And the thing is, we are, as parents, we are the caregivers of our children, not the state. We are the ones who are there to protect our children. And we need to stand up and protect our children with what's coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So the bill has already been debated last week in the South Australian Parliament. Tell me what that was like. Were there many people opposed to it?
Okay, last week in the South Australia Parliament, it's gone through the first reading. It's in the second reading now, and this is where you put up a speech regarding it. Sadly, the Honourable Sarah Game for One Nation was the only one that has put in a speech opposing this bill. So this is why we really need people to sign the petition and support, to fight this bill. If we don't stand up now, seriously, we're going to have nothing left.
Yeah, and so when Sarah gave her speech, what was the reception like? Were people not listening, or were they trying to shout it down, or were they listening attentively? What was the response like?
Well, to be honest, Andrew, it was very disappointing because when you actually in the Parliament and you see that most of the Liberals hadn't even bothered to go in there and listen to it, and it's just like business as usual. They didn't care. So, hopefully, shall I say, God willing, next week it goes back to Parliament again. Parliament sits next Wednesday and it's on the notice paper that the Liberals and hopefully some Labor people will stand up and oppose this bill.
Are the Labor Party members allowed to, the ones in the Parliament, are they allowed to vote on their conscience, or they have to vote in a block?
Well, normally Labor does vote in a block, yes.
Yeah, so it would take a minor miracle for any of the Labor members to actually oppose this. But the LNP, have you spoken to the leader of the LNP party down there and tried to get some traction with them?
I know they have come out, just a few of them have come out and said that they oppose this bill, but when it comes down to a vote, we'll see what happens. That's the main thing, is when they vote.
Yeah, and the bill was presented by a Greens member. Is that with the Honourable Robert Sims? It
was presented by the Greens. So with this bill presented, just so you know, it's in draft form in Queensland. So you'll be getting it over there soon as well. It's also passed in Tasmania, ACT and the Northern Territory. So please don't think, oh, wow, this bill wouldn't pass in our Parliament. Let me tell you, it will if we're silent and do nothing about fighting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Sarah's obviously come up with this petition. Tell us about the petition.
Okay, so the petition is about educating people about what the bill is about, and it's a formal petition. South Australia is the only state in Australia where we have to have hard copy petitions, so we can't do e-petitions, electronic petitions. And so this petition cannot be photocopied and sent in. We have to have people's original signature, which is a little bit annoying because it's harder to get signatures. So all I can say is on the petition we believe religious schools and organisations should be able to decide how their facilities are used and assessed in alignment with their religious beliefs. We believe religious schools and organisations should be able to employ staff and other workers and select volunteers who align with their religious beliefs. We believe the government should protect religious freedom as it is an essential human right. And we, therefore, are deeply concerned by the proposed Greens Equal Opportunity Religious Bodies Amendment Bill.
That's very well worded. I like that. And so if you have to do it in a physical format, how do people get their hands on a petition to actually sign it for this to get over the line?
Okay, so they can either call Sarah Game's office, and I'll give you that number, which is 8237 9536.
Yep, now that's 08, yeah?
Yes.
So say it again, 08.
237
Yep.
9536.
Yep.
Or they can email the office, and that's game, as in game, GAME, .office@parliament.sa.gov.au, and we'll email you the petition that you can print off and go around to your churches, your family, your community, get the signatures, and then you need to either drop them back to our SA Parliament or post them back. And the big thing is by the 30th of September.
Okay, by the 30th of September, which isn't many days away. It's really time for Christians in Australia to mobilise a little bit, isn't it? Because, Robyn, in the past I think we just left the government to do their thing and the church was left to do their thing. But it just feels like now, well, it is now, that the government is really coming into the church world, into our communities of faith, and really trying to lay down the law, which is in contradiction to God's law.
Absolutely. And, I've spoken to many pastors over the last few weeks regarding this bill, and a lot of pastors say to me, I don't get involved in politics. Well, tell me, when are you going to get involved in politics? When they come and close your doors, or when you renege and give in to going against God's law, like you said, and just go along with this bill?
Yeah, I think it's time for the Australian church to wake up and to realise that we're living in an environment which is no longer conducive to freedom in our churches, freedom in our personal faith, even freedom in our conversations with others, our public declarations as we endeavour to share the Word of God with people. So, Robyn Grace, I want to thank you so much. If you just joined us, Robyn works for Sarah Game. She's the One Nation member for the South Australian Parliament, and they've done a petition encouraging as many people as possible to sign to oppose this Equal Opportunity Religious Bodies Amendment Bill, which is being tabled right now in the South Australian Parliament, which will bring serious restrictions on places of faith, on Christian schools, on churches, on any community endeavour or community group that has a Christian faith and wants to do things according to the Word of God. So, Robyn, I just want to thank you for joining us on 2020 Today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And also remember, religious freedom is under attack like never before. It's time to stand up.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.